Hi. Oh.
All you need is what?
Am I on? Yes, I am on. Hi.
We're gonna sing.
We're gonna sing first.
We're singing
Okay.
first.
Should I sit down?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can.
You can dance. Yeah.
All right, stay up there and dance. Okay. Yes.
I am free, I am unlimited, there are no chains that bind me. I am free, I am unlimited, right now, right now. I am free, I am unlimited, there are no chains that bind me. I am free, I am unlimited, right now, right now. I have no fear, I am magnificent, love and light are why I am here. I have no fear, I am magnificent. Right now, right now, I have no fear, I am magnificent. Love and light are why I'm here. I have no fear, I am magnificent. Right now, right now, I am free, I am unlimited. There are no chains that bind me. I am free, I am unlimited. Right now, right now, I am free, I am unlimited. There are no chains that bind me. I am free, I am unlimited, right now, right now.
Thank you. That was beautiful. Well, welcome to our Facebook members, our and our congregation. Nice to see you today. My name is Brenda Souzer. And so, did you happen to catch the red-orange sky this morning before the rays reading this now. Before the rays danced like stars on the grass. That's my poetic attempt to say that there was frost on the pumpkin today. And fall is definitely in the air, even though we see packer and candy corn all around. So, snuggled in my pink fluffy robe, mugging my mother Joe, well, Shanti, my shadow cat, curls in my lap. We welcome the morning, the peace that the morning offers, where I touch the indwelling Christ consciousness. I read, reflect, write, pray, not always in that order. And isn't that just the greatest way to embrace a day? And well, it's also very wonder-filled when I can bring that essence with me throughout the day. So it's great to be here today and be the chairperson. So today I'm going to read the daily word. No, what? Oh, no, vision. Together with me, a world powerfully transformed through shared spiritual awakening. Advancing the movement of spiritual awakening, transformation through unity, a positive path for spiritual living. I know these in my head, but when I'm here, it's like, what was that about? Okay. And this is our mission. Abundance, acceptance, community, diversity, integrity, joy, and love. No, it's not. It's our. Thank you. See, I'm just checking you guys. And this is the prayer for children. Unity of Appleton sees the divinity in all children and nurtures their unfolding spirituality. Now the daily word. Okay, I'm going to read from here because that's where I practice. So, my purpose fuels my passion. Purpose sets my heart aflame with passion. Each day I awaken ready to answer the call of my heart, to give my best efforts and fullest attention to purposeful activity. Passion is the energy I bring to do everything I do. I discover the glory of God through passion. As I do the things that make me feel the most alive, that fill me with energy and zeal and color the world with hope and promise, I recognize the divine presence behind it all. God is the source of all my passion I feel and the purpose that drives me. My passion is not for me alone. The life energy that radiates from me inspires those around me to live a life of purpose and passion, to boldly express their divinity as only they can. From 1 Peter 4:11, whoever speaks must do as one speaking the very words of God. Whoever serves must do so with the strength that God supplies. Oh, wait, can I say something?
Yes.
Okay. I went over, Mike goes, where are you going so early? I go, well, I got to go vacuum, but I didn't vacuum. I ended up, I got to talk to these guys here on Facebook. So I'm at Starbucks. I'm like, I don't know what to say. I'm just going to say I love this day. And what I wrote is like exactly what's here. I'm like, is that divine or what? Right? I'm like, oh, this is cool. Okay. I got goosebumps. Okay, next. Oh, wrong one. What did I do? Okay, sorry. I am so sorry.
Yeah.
One more.
There we
You
go.
said,
Okay. Yep.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that sings deep in my soul. Since long before I saw the sun, with spirit I was whole. Through every challenge in my life, with spirit I flow free. Sweet grace has been my constant guide. I know sweet liberty. Wherever life will take me next, with spirit's eyes I'll see the path that's in the blessed flow. With spirit I am free. And when as spirit I shall fly to worlds beyond the sun, sweet grace you'll hear, my soul will sing its pure, sweet freedom song.
another gorgeous song. Wow, love that harmony. So today we have a guest speaker. He is a member of the Masterminds group. He's a faithful lawnmower and a longtime member of Unity. Scott, come on up. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody.
Wayne.
Can everybody hear me? Okay, sometimes I can get a little quiet. How are you? What's up? Ah, hey, how are you? It's always a pleasure to see you. Who's up for a cool Zen trick used to focus the mind? Anybody? Anybody online? This is awesome. And I modified it a little bit to fit with the title of this topic. But, and I learned it on Tuesday. That's how long time it is. But it's actually centuries old. So it goes like this, well, I have to give you a little background first. ESP researchers right now are studying a phenomenon, they have been for many, many years, a phenomenon called cross correspondence. And what happens is that they have a group of participants They didn't set out to do this, they found it by accident, and that's so cool. Is they have a group of participants, and each one reports, gives like automatic writing or automatic speaking, things like that. And it's gibberish, 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 gibberish all out here. And when they fit them together, it's a coherent message. That is cool all by itself. Just think about that a minute, is that my life is gibberish. Another person's life is gibberish. Maybe we could find that person. Just think about finding that person. And it might not be a person. It might be an alien, might be a tree, might be a toad. Who knows? But what I wanted to do is I wanted to fit that with our presentation today. And our presentation is dials. So you think about this a minute, okay? If I turn the dial toward me, turn the dial back toward the other person who I do not know, or the other being who I do not know. Back and forth. And then turn the dial straight up. Intuition knows the answer, the full script. And now we're in. The longer we do that, because what can happen is that we're focused on our concerns, and our concerns keep invading. What this does is this gives us a point of reference. I wanted to use the dials. So why did I call this dials? A couple of weeks ago is I try to get to mastermind group as often as I can, but my work schedule gets in the way. I work in a hardware store on weekends and during the week, and I trade stocks, and then I go to the beach a lot. And what I'm doing is mimicking what I did when I was 19 and 20. So I figured, hey, I just turned 60, so I'm just dividing by 3. But so I'm going to use examples from stock trading. I'm going to use examples from hardware store and so forth. But what I want to do is I want to take a little step back and talk about where the dials idea came from. And my, first of all, when I take a step back, have a really good relationship with intuition. And as members of the mastermind group know, and as Laura, my wife, knows, is I talk about it all the time. Intuition said this, and so forth. But it is really taking care of me and taking care of us. It is messages from intuition and questions that I have to intuition. And yeah, I don't know where to point, to be honest with you, because it's everywhere. And that's what I wanted to talk about, because like I say, I wanted to take a step back and say where this all came from. One day I work in the hardware store. One day I was bringing out freight, and there was a bag of sand. And by the way, this is not the first, this is just a kind of a recent first interaction with intuition. This is just kind of a recent one. There's a bag of sand, and it said, this sand is for your pool filter, for filtering out your pool. Well, I'd never heard of that before. So I'm wheeling that up to the middle of the store where it goes. And I get a page, and the page says that there's a gentleman who wants to buy a grill. His last name is Sands. And a fairly common name, so I'm not giving away any, confidential information or anything. His name is Sands. Okay, well, I only knew that because I needed to schedule delivery. His name is Sands. I get another page. I need to go to the back of the store. The lady wants to rent some power equipment for her garden. Her first name is Sandy. Anybody getting the theme here? And then after that's taken care of, after I book that rental, then I pick up another bag, and it's sand for concrete. I go out there. On my way out, a customer asked me a question about sandpaper for his sander. And that evening, I got a chance to go to the beach. And this goofy little statement popped into my head, which was, talk to the sand. It's kind of like that old talk to the hand thing. Talk to the sand. Every wave that came up, talk to the sand, talk to the sand. The waves were talking to the sand, I was talking to the sand. So that's just one example. Okay, that's messages. Persistent messages will come, and all I have to do is listen for them. The other thing that happens is that I'll ask a question. And I'll usually ask a question about a stock pick because that's part of my job. And that the sand, by the way, was one of them. I now had a little, I didn't realize it, but I had a little sub-fund that I wanted to use for experimentation purposes. And I needed a clue. Well, all of a sudden, sand. So I bought some sand stock. And it's not really sand, it's gold, but sandstorm stock. Anyway, so that's an example. And sometimes I ask a question, and the most intriguing questions are the ones that I know that intuition has planted for me. Intuition is kind of like a trial lawyer. They'll never ask a question unless they know the answer. Intuition's kind of like that, is she will never plant a question in my head unless she already knows the answer. So really it's just kind of a coy way to give me an idea. And it's a way to free me in some way. One question was, have I ever physically seen intuition and know what she looks like? Well, I never thought of that before. I'm talking about physically seeing, okay, so am I going to see lightning bolts or what am I going to see? Forgot about the question until a couple of days later. I'm looking through some photos on the phone, and one of them is blurry except for in sharp focus, in the softest, most mesmerizing white light I ever saw. It's this oddball shape. It's kind of like a trapezoid, and it's a reflection off of the seat in front of me. I was trying to take a picture out there, and I got the reflection. And it's the most mesmerizing picture. So 2 days later, right on schedule, I got my answer. Yes, I have physically seen it. Of course, the answer is that's not the true answer, because the answer is that we see intuition or spirit or God or the universe everywhere at all times. We can't really walk anywhere without seeing it. It's right here and now. Another intriguing question. This one came up a couple of weeks ago, and this is getting back to the word dials. Is a couple of weeks ago, well, actually probably about a month ago, is when I can't make it to men's group, I'll send out a little note. Hey, here's something fun in the meantime. And sometimes I get a response, sometimes I don't from the other people, but it doesn't matter. The idea was just to throw it out there. And the question was, and this is how I know it was a planted question for me. The question was, what is the most effective, most convenient way for human beings to speak and listen to intuition? Because intuition is luminous everywhere at all times. So how do I, as a human being, speak, talk? And the answer came back on schedule about 2 days later, 2-3 days later, dials. Lots of different ways to look at dials, but it's a way for us to kind of control our lives. If you think about all the dials, and I'm going to give you a few different types of examples, but dials are a way for us to turn up intensity, turn down intensity, and so forth. So just think about, that's a convenient way for us to do it and to get messages and so forth. Now, I'm always just amazed. Not only did one word come down, which was dials, but also I got a sploosh, full set of instructions. It even sounds like that, sploosh. Got the full set of instructions. And it is in luminous form. I keep using the word luminous, but that's what I mean. It's intangible and so forth, but it's all right here. And that's what we're talking about today. So dials there are lots of different types of dials. And interestingly enough, Lori, who does the slide decks, gave me a couple of samples of different types of dials to use as a graphic. And I said, no, I don't want any. What was interesting was that she picked the exact opposite of the way I think about it. We use the word dials in what really boils down to two different ways. And one of them is what I would call a passive dial, and the other would be an active dial. Both are important, and I'll describe both in a minute. But really, there are lots of, like I said, there are lots of different sizes, shapes, orientation. You can see lots of times my dials are horizontal. Lots of times they're just little ones, volume, treble, bass, temperature, and so forth. So a passive dial, the way we use the word, is something that we read. So it can be like a thermometer, it can be humidity. What we're doing is we're reading something that we're not controlling. It can be speed, it can be a stock price, it can be the audit percentage, risk percentage on my tax software. All of those use dials. And it's something I read, and it's kind of passive. Those are valuable and worthy of their own right. But I don't want to talk about this. I like the other ones better. The other ones are active. They're the things we control. They're the things that we turn. They don't even have to be round necessarily. It could be sliders. It could be vertical sliders, horizontal. But the point is that we control those. And that's a way for us to ask questions. A way to ask what we want is to use those dials. And the best part, to me, the absolute best part of that type of dial, an active dial versus a passive dial, we read passive dials. But active dials is, the word dial is also the verb. So I get to do something. I get to dial up the volume because it's Friday night. And it's no one else is here. I get to listen to my music. I get to dial it up. I want to dial up a friend. I want to dial up, don't know, the size and shape of my portfolio. Who knows? I don't know where else to go with that. But you get the message, is that it's also a verb. So that's the type that we want to use. Now we can use our dialing capability in one of two ways. So it breaks down to one of two ways. But I want to kind of give a commercial message for a moment. I think the reason that this idea came in kind of a tangible picture form, something we can picture, is because we all get this. We all understand, everyone here understands this because we are trained and we're knowledgeable of how to interact with spirit, God, intuition. But there are people who are struggling. They don't know how to dial things up and down as necessary. And we needed a convenient way for, once again, a convenient, effective way for humans, all humans, everywhere, to be able to use intuition. So getting back, there are two different ways to use active dials. One is a reactive way, and the reason I didn't use any more examples on the active or passive is because this is where the juicy part comes in. So there are really two ways to use an active dial. One is reactively, and the other is proactively. And reactively, if you think about it, an event happens. We have a feeling, we have thoughts and feelings about that, so we put energy into that, and we're reacting to that event. Is, okay, I'm about to get a ticket, speeding ticket. That's an event. What are my thoughts and feelings about that? Are they high? Use a dial. Dial it down till it evens out. Dial it down more, And now I get power because now I'm focusing on the real picture, which is the event. I'm no longer focusing on my energy. I'm focusing on the thing that's going on. That's just one example. If you think about different ways, actually what we could do is we could go through every letter of the alphabet and we could say what we're dialing in a reactive way. Okay? And A, anxiety. Someone, go ahead, say it if you think of something. B, boredom. C, so you can go through every letter of the alphabet, or you can go through all of the chakras. Where am I feeling this? Or anything. So you really get a way to use the dial idea. And anybody, if you think about it, anybody can do this because everybody pretty much has a phone now. And they can dial things up, dial things down. There's actually a third type of dial, and I want to interject that here because there's also what I call it like a substitution dial. And think of the mode on your car dashboard where there's heat, fan, air conditioning, inside, outside. So it's a substitution. I'm substituting one for the other. But let me come back. So reactive, I'm pretty sure that we could find every emotion there is. We could go up and down that scale. I don't know if you've ever seen that scale. I think this has like 14 items and it starts with severe depression and goes all the way up to happiness, joy. Joy is at the top. I think it's even called the joy scale, but I don't know off the top of my head. So the point is that we could use lots of different ways to dial things up and dial things down, and anybody can use it. The proactive one is where the fun really begins. Remember, we're talking about intuition here, where we're asking intuition for something. But intuition does not understand specifics of events. Yes, intuition kind of lets things happen. But the way intuition understands reality is by dialing up a feeling. So think back to an example of some place where you felt awesome, powerful, in control. I'm going to give you an example on one. You dial that one up. Intuition will fill with examples because intuition wants to match that. Don't dial it down and say, this stupid task. No, dial it back up. Okay, this task means something. Maybe it doesn't mean anything all by itself, or maybe somebody else on the other side of the world knows what it has the other half. Remember that? Okay, let's dial it up. Already, I don't know what those events are going to be, and I'm okay with that. Those events will match. And it's not necessarily just emotion, it can be just that knowing. That's what intuition works on, matching that knowing. Here's an example of that. I was an IT contractor up until last January, until a year ago January, and took time off because our son and daughter-in-law had just moved out of mom's house. And so what I did was for 9 weeks, I didn't know how long it was going to be, for 9 weeks, I was renovating the house, tearing out the carpet, tearing out the flooring and so forth, shining things up. And I wanted that feeling, all of the different feelings about that project, I treated it like an IT gig, only it wasn't, it was a house gig. All of those feelings, I wanted to make sure to honor mom. Okay, there's a feeling. I wanted it to be kind of my project, as opposed to somebody else making the big decisions. And still honor mom. I wanted it to be lucrative and to buy what was necessary in order to make it look good for sale, but also to honor mom. And what happened was that after 9 weeks, if I took it and compared it, so then all these events started happening. And it was cool events. I had 70 people walk through that house. Friends, family, neighbors, Laura, mothers-in-law, everybody. I would pick people off the street. Oh, the inspector came, the basement inspector came. By the time I was done, I had 70 people, and I just watched them. And as they walked through the house, I'd watch to see, oh, that caught their attention. But that they ignored. And it was just fun. It was just awesome and fun. And by the way, as a pattern, is ladies ignore basements and garages. But the cupboards better be shiny. And there better be a lot of cupboard space. And men focus on basements and garages. Just a couple of patterns. But it was just fun. It was great. It turned out to be one of my most profitable per hour gigs I ever had. As a matter of fact, now that I think about it, it was. And that came about because I had that feeling. I always knew what it would look like in the end. I had that knowing. And all those events came in. So intuition always feels to meet the intangible. And the way we do it is easy, is dials. Lots of examples. I could give you other examples, but I'm not going to. Because what I want to do is I want to just kind of leave this open for everybody. Treat your dials as if it's, use dials. So that's kind of all I have right now. I just kind of like to leave it open to everybody. I don't know, are we open to questions or anything? Then I'm going to sit down now. Thank you very much.
Yeah, now I invite you to begin to prepare yourself for some reflective personal prayer on Scott's messages about dials. And we'll have a little guided musical meditation. And afterwards, I'll ask that you remain in silence for a short time. So if you choose to, you may close your eyes right now and feel the weight of your body as it relaxes into your chair. And you can let go of today's anxieties. Feel your feet on the solid earth beneath as we let go of tomorrow's worries. Become aware in this moment. You're breathing. As you breathe in life and breathe out love. And as you become centered, focus your attention on your beautiful heart, your beautiful Christ self. Become filled with gratitude. And allow into yourself that which fills you with peace and light. And now we begin. And now I invite you to gently return to this place.
Thank you, Tom. It's very nice. So we have some announcements. Study group. The Way of the Heart group will start again Sunday, November 7th at 11 a.m. after the service. This work was channeled and written by Yeshua, easy to understand, relatable voice. It contains a pathway to living in the world as Christ on earth. It's easy to join the group for any lesson at a time. Each lesson copy will be available for reading and discussion during the study group at no cost. And you can ask Jay in the music group.
Just holler at me so I know how many copies to have.
Also, we're looking for a host for December 12th. Saturday Night Lodging. Okay, so now is the time for affirmation of prosperity, and I really like how that meditation kind of led me into this. Is so okay. So let's read the affirmation together. Unity of Appleton is alive with the energy of spirit, and the flow of divine abundance, and radiant with unlimited possibilities. Celebration of giving and receiving. Divine love in and through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I joyfully give and willingly receive. I give in love, and I trust God as my source. So please place your financial gift in your hands and think of someone that has brought you joy and gratitude, and send that into your offering, and may it abundantly be abundant. Expanding.
Use me, oh God, I stand for you, and here abide as you show me all that I must do. I used to think God was the sun, God is the sun, but God's so much more than the earth and the sky, for all of creation. God is creator. Leading us to shine its light as you use me. Oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. Command my hands, what must I do? Command my life, it's here for you. God is the love that heals all creation. God is creator, makes all things new. God leads us to shine His light as we, so use me. Oh God, I stand for you, and here I'll abide as you show me all that I must do. All that I must do.
These are offerings from the abundance of our ever grateful hearts. They are an expression of the divine infinite compassion. Thank you to us, giving the abundantly receive. Thank you, something. The dial was up. Okay, prayer of protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
Spirit is joy, oh holy joy. Spirit is joy, oh holy joy. Spirit is joy, oh holy joy. Let your light shine through. Spirit is joy, oh holy joy. Spirit is joy, oh holy joy. Spirit is joy, oh holy joy. Let your light shine through. Spirit is joy, oh holy joy. Spirit is joy, oh holy joy. Spirit is joy, oh holy joy. Let your light shine through.
Thank you for coming today.
Yeah.